Tonight, this is a journey, but not toward anything far away. It is a gentle turning back, towards something already familiar, something you have been carrying, quietly, for a long time. The truth is simple. Change happens, whether we are ready or not. You already know this. Your mind understands it clearly, maybe too clearly, but knowing is not the same as letting go, and holding on can be very tiring. It is not because you are weak. It is because you have cared and still care. Your body remembers what your thoughts have already released, so you keep holding, even while knowing things are shifting. Maybe it is a relationship that has slowly changed shape. Not broken, not dramatic, just no longer the same. You still show up the old way, out of habit, even though something inside knows it cannot stay that way. You may replay conversations while lying still. You may wonder when things quietly moved on. There is a heaviness in that space between knowing and releasing, a tiredness that sleep alone does not fix. Buddhist wisdom speaks about this in very human words. Everything that begins will also change. Nothing stays fixed. No matter how much we wish, suffering comes from gripping what is already moving. This is not a punishment or a lesson being forced. It is simply how life unfolds, moment by moment, like trying to hold water too tightly. The tighter the grip, the faster it slips away. Right now, you may be listening late at night, or during a quiet pause when the world softens. The outside may feel still, but the mind keeps moving. Thoughts wander, memories return, questions linger without answers. In this moment, you are not alone. Others are listening too, in their own quiet spaces, different lives, different stories, similar tired hearts, each of us holding something that has already begun to change. If it feels right, you may leave a simple comment, just where you are listening from. Nothing more, not for attention, only for grounding. A small reminder that this moment is shared. In the stories ahead, we will explore ordinary lives, moments of holding, moments of release, moments of understanding. Nothing dramatic, nothing mystical, nothing you must believe. Just gentle reflections on how life actually moves. You do not need to fix anything tonight. You do not need to decide or resolve. For now, it is enough to listen and breathe, to let these words sit beside you quietly. Stay with me for the next story. Let it unfold at its own calm pace. There is no rush, and nowhere else to be. Story 1. The lamp left burning. The room was quiet, with one small lamp still glowing. Its light rested softly on the wall. Not bright, not dark. An old monk sat nearby, listening to the hum of night. He remembered years of working past tiredness, past sense, always leaving the lamp on, afraid of missing something, even when the body begged gently for rest. One evening, his teacher sat beside him without speaking. They watched the lamp together, breathing slow and even. Time passed, and nothing needed to be said. At last, the teacher reached out and dimmed the light. The room did not disappear. It only softened. Shadows became kinder, edges less demanding. The monk felt his chest loosen in that moment. Nothing important had been lost in the dark. Everything essential was still there. Many nights later, he shared this memory quietly. He spoke of work, of pressure, of constant readiness, of minds trained to stay alert long after danger passed. He said the lamp was not the problem. The fear of turning it down was. Rest had been waiting patiently all along. Now, as you listen, the night holds you gently. Nothing asks for your attention right now. You are allowed to dim the light within. Let the mind soften like that quiet room. What matters will still be there in the morning. And rest comes when we stop guarding the dark. Story 2. The river that did not hurry. A river moved slowly beyond a small village. Its surface caught the moon, then let it go. No effort, no holding, no resistance. A woman used to walk there after long work days. Her thoughts rushed, even while her feet slowed. Deadlines echoed louder than the water. One night, she noticed the river had changed. It was lower, gentler, exposing smooth stones. Still, it kept moving toward the sea. An old fisherman nearby spoke without looking up. The river never worries about being enough, he said. It only follows the land beneath it. Olve, she listened. Though she did not answer, her life felt nothing like that steady flow. Too many choices, too many expectations. Over weeks, she returned again and again. She watched leaves drift without steering themselves. She felt her breath match the current. Gradually, her shoulders dropped when she arrived. The river did not fix her problems. It reminded her she did not need fixing. Change came, as it always does. Quietly, a role ended. Another began. Without announcement, she found herself standing without panic. Now the river runs through this moment too. Your thoughts may rush, but nothing forces them. You can rest in the current without direction. Life moves even when you stop pushing. Like water, it knows where to go, and peace arrives when you float a while. Story 3. The cup already full. A teacup sat between two people at dawn. Steam rose, then vanished into the air. The room smelled of warmth and leaves. A student spoke of wanting more clarity, more success, more calm, more certainty. The words tumbled out, heavy and fast. The teacher poured tea without interruption. The cup filled, then overflowed onto the table. Still, the student kept talking. At last, the teacher stopped pouring. He wiped the spill slowly with a cloth. Then he looked up with gentle eyes. When the cup is full, he said softly, there is no space for new tea. End quote. Silence settled like dust. The student felt something loosen inside. He had been carrying too much wanting, too many plans pressed into one cup. That night, sleep came easier than expected. Not because answers arrived, because striving paused. You may feel full in this way, packed with effort, worry, and quiet hope. There is nothing wrong with setting it down. Rest is not another thing to add. It is the space that allows breathing. Let the cup sit, just as it is. Story 4. The door that closed gently. A wooden door closed at the end of a hallway. Not slammed, not locked, just finished closing. The sound echoed longer than expected. A man stood there after years in one place. Same job, same habits, same routine. Change arrived without asking permission. He replayed every step that led there, every word he wished he had said. Sleep felt far away each night. One evening, his neighbor knocked quietly. They sat on the steps without talking much. The night air did most of the work. Doors close, the neighbor said, eventually. Not to trap us, but to let rooms rest. As the words stayed, weeks passed, then months. New paths appeared without forcing. The closed door stopped echoing. Now, in this moment, something may have ended. Not loudly, not cruelly, just completely. You do not need to reopen it tonight. Let the hallway be quiet for now. Rest comes when we stop standing guard. Another door opens when the body is ready. Story 5. The field after harvest. A field lay bare after the harvest. Stalks cut low. Soil exposed to sky. It looked empty to passing eyes. A farmer rested nearby. Hands folded. He did not rush to plant again. The land needed breathing time. Others asked why he waited. Winter was coming. Time felt short. He only smiled. The field is working, he said calmly, even when it looks like nothing. Isrind. Snow later proved him right. Beneath the cold surface, life prepared quietly. Roots strengthened. Seeds rested deeply. Spring arrived without being chased. You may feel like that field tonight. Productive seasons behind you. Nothing ahead yet. This is not failure. Rest is part of growth. Nothing needs forcing in the dark. Let winter do its gentle work. Story 6. The bell at dusk. A temple bell rang once at dusk. Its sound traveled far, then faded. No one chased the echo. A worker passing by stopped walking. His day had been long and sharp. The bell softened something inside him. He stood still until the sound ended. Then he breathed. Once, deeply. That was enough. Night did not demand explanations. It welcomed him exactly as he was. The bell had done its work. You may hear echoes like that now. Moments that pause the rush. Let them fade naturally. Silence is not empty. It is where the body resets. Rest begins in listening. Story 7. The stone in the pocket. A small stone lived in an old man's pocket. He carried it through years of effort. It reminded him to stay strong. Over time, the stone grew heavy. His steps slowed without him noticing. The habit no longer helped. One day, he set the stone down. The path felt lighter immediately. Strength returned in a different form. You may carry such a stone, a belief, a duty, a regret. It once served you well. You are allowed to rest your hands now. Nothing is lost by easing the load. Sleep comes with lighter pockets. Story 8. The quiet market. A market closed as evening settled. Stalls emptied. Voices drifted away. Only lanterns remained. A woman walked through after everyone left. She had spent years competing there. Now, silence felt strange and wide. She noticed the ground beneath her feet. The space between thoughts grew longer. Peace arrived without applause. Life does not need crowds to be real. Stillness has its own richness. You can rest in open space. Story 9. The rope loosened. A rope tied a boat to shore. It had held firm through storms. Tonight, the water was calm. The owner loosened the knot slightly. The boat drifted. Still safe. Nothing went wrong. Control softened into trust. The body followed the lesson. Breath slowed naturally. You do not need tight knots now. Gentle holding is enough. Sleep floats closer this way. Story 10. The last candle. A single candle burned low at midnight. Its flame steady. Almost finished. No rush. No fear. An elder watched until it faded. Darkness filled the room kindly. Nothing was missing. He lay down without lighting another. Night held him without effort. Rest came easily. Let your own candle rest tonight. Darkness knows how to care. You are safe to sleep now. Story 11. The bench beneath the cedar. The cedar tree had been standing longer than anyone remembered. Its branches spread wide. Patient with seasons and weather, a wooden bench rested beneath it, worn smooth by time. An older man came there most evenings after work. His days were filled with numbers, decisions, quiet pressure. Even after retirement, his body kept the old pace. He sat on the bench and felt the habit of rushing. Thoughts lined up, asking to be solved again. The tree did not respond to any of them. Some nights he noticed the scent of the cedar bark. Other nights, only the weight of his breathing. Either way, the bench held him without comment. One evening, a young woman passed and paused. She said she liked how still the place felt. They sat together without exchanging names. After a while, she said, almost to herself, "I never know when I am allowed to stop." Wheeze. The man nodded, eyes still on the ground. The wind moved the branches gently above them. The cedar had never asked permission to rest. It simply grew, then paused, then grew again. The woman eventually stood and thanked him. He realized she had not asked for advice. She had needed quiet company. Now, as you rest, this bench is here too. Nothing expects answers from you tonight. Like the cedar, you may pause between movements. Rest is not quitting. It is part of standing tall for a long time. And the night understands this very well. Story 12. The envelope never opened. An envelope sat unopened on a small table. It had arrived weeks ago. Still waiting, the man walked past it every evening. Inside were words he feared would change things. He imagined loss, judgment, or regret. So he left it where it was. Each night, sleep came harder than the last. His mind opened the envelope again and again. Only fear was ever inside. One quiet morning, sunlight touched the paper. He noticed how thin it really was, almost fragile. He opened it slowly, breathing steady. The message was simple, almost kind. Change. Yes, but not disaster. He laughed softly at the long delay. The weight had never been in the paper. It had lived in the waiting. Tonight, you may have unopened things too. Thoughts, memories, possibilities you keep sealed. They grow heavier in the dark. You do not need to open them now. Sometimes rest comes before understanding. The night does not demand decisions. Let the envelope stay closed tonight. Sleep arrives when pressure eases. Morning brings its own gentle light. Story 13. The train platform after midnight. A train platform rested under dim lights. The last train had already gone. Only wind and footsteps remained. A woman stood there longer than needed. She had missed many chances recently, each one replayed in her mind. She watched the empty tracks stretch away. No sound promised return or repair. Still, the platform felt steady beneath her. An old attendant swept nearby without hurry. "Platforms are not failures," he said quietly. "They are places between journeys." She felt warmth rise behind her eyes. Nothing had ended forever. Only paused. She breathed more deeply. Life has many platforms like this. Moments where nothing moves forward yet. They are not punishments. If you find yourself waiting tonight, let the ground support you. Rest happens even between trains. The body knows how to stand and how to sleep until movement comes again. Story 14. The bowl returned to the shelf. A ceramic bowl sat cracked but clean. It had served many meals over years. One day, It slipped and changed forever. The owner felt foolish for caring so much. It was only a bowl. After all, still, he hesitated to use it again. An elder friend visited and noticed it. She ran her finger along the crack. "It still holds," she said softly. The bowl returned to the shelf. Not hidden, not repaired, just accepted. Meals continued without ceremony. We often set ourselves aside like that bowl. After mistakes, after breaks we can see, thinking we are no longer useful. Tonight, you may feel marked by cracks. They do not disqualify you from rest. You are still holding life. Let yourself return to the shelf tonight, whole enough. Exactly as you are, sleep welcomes imperfect vessels. Story 15. The calendar, with blank pages. A calendar hung open to a future month. Its pages were blank and quiet. The woman stared longer than she meant to. She had lived by filled squares for decades. Appointments, deadlines, reminders everywhere. The blank felt unsettling. Her body still woke early each day, but nothing waited to be done. She felt strangely unnecessary. A neighbor visited with warm bread. They sat without planning anything. The calendar stayed on the wall. Slowly, the blank pages softened. They were not empty. They were open. Your nights may feel like that calendar. Too much space. Not enough direction. Rest fits naturally into open time. You do not need to fill the night. Sleep arrives in quiet spaces. Tomorrow can wait. Story 16. The path without signs. A narrow path wound through tall grass. No signs marked its direction. Only footprints hinted at passage. A man walked slowly, unsure of progress. He was used to instructions and plans. This path offered none. He stopped often, listening. Birds moved. Clouds shifted. The path remained. Eventually, he trusted the ground beneath. Each step arrived where it should. That was enough. Life sometimes removes the signs, not to confuse us, but to slow us down. Tonight, you may walk without answers. The body knows how to rest anyway. Sleep does not need directions. Story 17. The window left open. A window stayed open through the evening. Cool air moved the curtains gently. The house breathed more easily. The owner used to close everything tightly, afraid of drafts, noise, surprise. Control had felt safer. Now, the open window softened the room. Sounds passed through without staying. The night felt less heavy. You do not need sealed rooms tonight. Let thoughts pass like air. Nothing needs holding. Rest comes with openness. The night knows how to move through you. Story 18. The spoon set down. A spoon rested beside an empty bowl. The meal was finished. Quietly, the body felt full enough. Yet the hand lingered, habitually stirring, used to adding more, used to effort. Finally, the spoon was set down. Stillness followed naturally. Satisfaction arrived late, but gently. You do not need more tonight. Enough has already happened. Set the spoon down. Sleep begins when effort ends. The body understands this deeply. Story 19. The clock without numbers. A wall clock ticked softly. Its face had no numbers, only hands moving steadily. A visitor asked how time was read. The owner smiled and said, "It always passes, whether watched or not." 1. The clock kept moving through the night. No urgency, no judgment, just steady motion. You do not need to measure rest. Sleep arrives without counting. Time carries you gently. Story 20. The light through the curtain. Moonlight slipped through thin fabric. It traced quiet shapes on the floor. Nothing asked to be done. An elder lay listening to his breath. Years of effort behind him. Nothing left to prove. He thought of all the nights he worried, and how little needed fixing. The breath continued kindly. Now, that light reaches you too. Soft. Indirect. Enough. Let it hold the room. As the elder once whispered to a student, rest is also a practice. To Dea, and the night agrees. Gently. Story 21. The shoes by the door. The shoes rested quietly by the door each evening. Leather softened by years of steady walking. They waited without urgency or complaint. A man used to drop them there with a sigh. Each day had pulled him in many directions. Even after returning home, his mind kept walking. He would sit nearby, replaying conversations and decisions. The shoes seemed heavier than they should be, as if they carried the weight of unfinished thoughts. One night, he cleaned them slowly before bed, wiped away dust, loosened the laces gently. His breath slowed with each careful motion. He noticed how the shoes had served him well. Miles walked, tasks handled, days completed. They asked nothing in return. He placed them neatly by the door again, this time with a quiet sense of thanks. The room felt calmer than usual. Later, lying in bed, his feet felt lighter. The body understood something the mind had missed. Work could stay at the threshold until morning. You may have shoes like these, unseen burdens you remove. Tonight, you can set them down fully. Nothing follows you into sleep unless invited. As an old teacher once murmured, even the path rests when walking stops. If you looked her, and the night holds your steps until dawn. Story 22. The well that was not dry. A stone well stood behind a quiet house, its rim worn smooth by many hands. Few people drew from it anymore. A woman believed the well had run dry. Life had felt empty for some time. Energy came harder than before. One afternoon, she lowered the bucket again. The rope creaked. Familiar and patient. Water returned. Cool and clear. She realized she had stopped looking, assuming absence where there was only depth. The well had been waiting silently. Each evening after that, she drew water calmly, not rushing, not doubting. Trust returned with each small action. You may feel dry in this moment, but some things rest deeper than thought. They return when called gently. As you lie here, nothing is required. The well within you knows its work. Rest allows it to rise on its own. Story 23. The letter never sent. A letter lay folded in a drawer, written years ago, never mailed. Its words had aged quietly. The writer had poured regret into the page. Apologies, explanations, careful honesty. Fear stopped it from leaving the house. Over time, the need to send it faded. What remained was the act of writing, the release already completed. One night, the letter was read again. The pain felt softer, more distant. The drawer closed gently. Some things heal without being delivered. Expression itself can be enough. The heart learns this slowly. Tonight, you may hold unsent words. They do not need travel now. Sleep listens without reply. As a quiet voice once said, peace comes when truth is allowed to rest. End quotes, and the night agrees. Story 24. The road under fog. Fog settled over a familiar road. Streetlights softened into glowing halos. Distance disappeared entirely. A driver slowed. Hands relaxed on the wheel. Rushing would not help tonight. Only the next few feet mattered. The car moved safely. Moment by moment. The road never vanished beneath the fog. Trust replaced certainty. Life often feels like this at night. The future blurred. The present small. Still. The ground holds firm. You do not need far vision now. Only this breath. This moment. Sleep travels one step at a time. An old saying drifted back gently. See what is near, and rest will follow. Reacher, and the fog eventually lifts on its own. Story 25. The chair by the window. A wooden chair faced the window each night. Paint chipped. Legs steady. It had seen many seasons pass. A woman sat there after family slept. She watched lights blink out across town. Her thoughts finally slowed. She did not try to solve anything there. Just sat, breathing with the dark. The chair never judged her stillness. Over time, this became enough. The body learned to pause without guilt. Sleep arrived more easily afterward. You may have a chair like this, a place of simple presence. You can sit there now. Inwardly, as one elder once whispered kindly, rest needs no reason. End well, and the chair agrees. Story 26. The garden after rain. Rain passed through the garden quietly. Leaves bowed under gentle weight. Soil drank deeply without hurry. A caretaker walked through afterward. Nothing needed fixing or directing. Everything knew its place. The air smelled clean and open. Plants stood taller by morning. Growth followed rest. Your mind may feel soaked tonight, heavy with thoughts and feelings. This is part of renewal. Lie still and let things settle. Clarity comes after the rain. Sleep nourishes unseen roots. As the caretaker once said softly, nothing grows while being pushed. Well, the garden listens and rests. Story 27. The staircase at night. A staircase creaked softly in the dark. Each step known by memory. No light needed. A man climbed slowly, hand on the rail. He trusted what his feet remembered. The top arrived without surprise. Some nights feel like climbing this way. No clear view. Only familiarity. The body guides the way. You do not need full awareness now. Sleep climbs naturally. Each breath a step upward. An old voice once chuckled gently. The dark knows these stairs too. Mater and rest follows that knowing. Story 28. The map folded away. A map lay folded in a glove compartment. Routes marked from long ago. Places already visited. The traveler no longer checked it. The road had become familiar. Hands relaxed on the wheel. There are times when planning ends. Living continues without diagrams. Trust replaces instruction. Tonight, you may fold the map away. Sleep needs no guidance. The body knows the route home. As someone once said quietly, rest is the destination. Oh, and you are already near. Story 29. The cup of warm water. A cup of warm water sat beside the bed. Steam barely visible in the dark. Nothing fancy. Nothing urgent. An elder drank slowly before lying down. Each sip eased the chest. The night felt friendlier. Simple comforts often work best. They ask little and give much. Warmth travels inward easily. Let this moment be like that cup. Plain. Steady. Enough. Sleep arrives with small kindnesses. As he once told a student softly, care begins with the simple. If one, the night nods in agreement. Story 30. The breath that stayed. An elder lay listening to his breath. In and out. Unchanged by years. Always present. Always faithful. Thoughts came and went like visitors. The breath never left. It waited patiently. Eventually, attention rested there naturally. No effort. No forcing. Just quiet companionship. You are breathing now. Just the same. Nothing more is required. The breath will carry you. As the elder once murmured kindly, when all else wanders, stay with this. Awa, and sleep follows. Gently and surely. Story 31. The lantern on the porch. A small lantern hung on the porch. Glowing through the evening, its light was modest, never reaching far beyond the steps. Still, it made the doorway feel welcoming and safe. An older woman lit it each night before bed, not because she expected visitors, but because she liked the feeling of arrival. Her days had been full of responsibility for many years. Work, family, obligations layered one over another. Even now, with less to manage, her body stayed alert. She used to leave the lantern unlit, thinking rest should come without ritual. But the dark felt heavier that way. One night, she lit it without thinking much. The porch softened immediately. The house seemed to exhale. Standing there, she realized the light was not for others. It was a signal to herself, a quiet message saying, "You are home now." Over time, the ritual became gentle and steady. Light the lantern. Close the door. Let the day remain outside. Some evenings, she stood longer, watching moths circle calmly. They came and went without urgency. Nothing demanded her attention anymore. As you listen, imagine this lantern for yourself. Not bright, not dramatic, just enough to mark the end of effort. You do not need to solve tomorrow, tonight. You are allowed to arrive where you are. And as the lantern glows softly, the night whispers, "Rest is safe now." Story 32. The boat that stayed moored. A small wooden boat rested by the dock, its rope loose but secure. The water moved gently beneath it. A man used to take the boat out often, fishing early, returning tired. Movement had always felt necessary. Lately, he sat on the dock instead, watching ripples form and fade. The boat stayed where it was. At first, guilt followed him there. He felt he should be doing something, but the water did not agree. The lake carried its own rhythm. Nothing hurried, nothing stalled. One evening, he noticed how still the boat looked. Not useless, just resting between journeys. He felt something in himself mirror that stillness. Muscles softened, breath slowed without instruction. That night, sleep came earlier than usual. Not earned, not planned, just allowed. You may feel like that boat tonight. Capable, steady, but not moving. This is not failure. As the man once said quietly to the lake, even the water rests sometimes. And the lake held that truth gently. Story 33. The hallway light. A hallway light remained on late each night, soft yellow against pale walls. It guided steps without glare. A father left it on for years. Children once needed reassurance in the dark, even after they grew. The habit stayed. One evening, he paused before turning it off. The house felt different now, quieter, but not empty. He stood there, listening. No footsteps followed. No doors opened. He switched the light off slowly. Darkness arrived kindly. The hallway did not disappear. That night, he slept more deeply. Something unnecessary had finally rested. You may keep lights on like this. Old habits meant to protect. They can rest now too. As the father thought before sleep, darkness does not mean danger. I am Zo, and the night agreed softly. Story 34. The path through tall grass. A narrow path cut through tall grass behind a home. Few people noticed it anymore. It led nowhere special. An older man walked it each morning. Not for exercise, not for progress. He liked the sound of grass brushing his legs, the earth steady beneath his feet, each step familiar. Sometimes he stopped halfway. Nothing waited at the end. The walking itself was enough. Life had once felt like constant motion, goals stacked upon goals. Now, this simple path remained. At night, he remembered the walk. The rhythm of steps returned him to calm. Sleep followed soon after. You may have such a path inside. No destination, only movement that soothes. As the man once smiled to himself, walking can also be resting. I am Laya, and the body listens. Gratefully. Story 35. The drawer of old keys. A drawer held many old keys. Some no longer fit any lock. Still, they were kept. A woman sorted through them one quiet afternoon. Each key brought a memory. Homes, offices, phases long finished. She felt the weight of them in her hand. Not heavy, but crowded. She placed most back in the drawer. One key she set aside. It belonged to nothing now. Yet she did not throw it away. That night, she slept peacefully. Nothing had been decided, just noticed. You may carry keys like these, access to things that no longer exist. They do not need using tonight. As she once whispered before sleep, not every door must be opened again. Eve now, and rest followed quietly. Story 36. The empty mug. A mug sat empty beside the sink. Coffee long finished. The warmth still faintly present. A worker rinsed it slowly before bed. The day had been demanding. Words still echoed in his mind. As water filled the mug, thoughts drained away. Simple motions eased the body. The mug asked for nothing else. He placed it upside down to dry. A small ending to the day. Enough done. You may have an empty mug tonight. Tasks completed. Energy spent. That is sufficient. As he once thought gently, nothing needs refilling now. I have Dhamana, and sleep came naturally. Story 37. The window seat. A window seat caught the last light of evening. Dust floated lazily in the air. The cushion held its shape. A woman sat there after dinner. She watched the sky darken gradually, colors fading without urgency. She did not follow thoughts outward, just noticed the shift of light. The body relaxed into stillness. Night arrived without announcement. Stars replaced clouds. The seat remained. You may sit like this inwardly now, watching the day fade. No effort required. As she once murmured softly, ending can be gentle, is one, and the night wrapped that truth around you. Story 38. The ladder put away. A ladder leaned against the shed for years. Used often, then less. Eventually, not at all. A man returned it to its place one evening. No more climbing planned. The ground felt enough. He noticed how quiet the yard became. Nothing reached upward. Everything settled. You do not need ladders tonight. No reaching. No striving. The ground supports you fully. As the man once said calmly, Standing is enough for now. In right, and rest answered kindly. Story 39. The soft knock of rain. Rain tapped gently against the roof. Not loud, not urgent, just present. An elder lay listening in the dark. Each drop distinct, then gone. No pattern to solve. Thoughts slowed with the sound. The body matched the rhythm. Sleep arrived quietly. Let this rain fall through you now. Nothing to catch, nothing to hold. As he once whispered to a student, let sounds pass through. Oh, and the night nodded. Story 40. The blanket folded back. A blanket was folded back at the foot of the bed. Clean, familiar, ready. The room felt complete. An older teacher lay down without hurry. Years of seeking behind him. Nothing unfinished tonight. He rested his hand on his chest. Breath rose and fell steadily. Sleep followed without effort. You may fold your day back now. Set it aside, gently. The bed holds you fully. As the teacher once said softly in the dark, rest is trust. Where and trust carries you into sleep. Story 41. The mailbox at the corner. The mailbox stood at the corner of the quiet street. Paint chipped, flag lowered, patiently waiting. It had seen many seasons come and go. A man walked past it each evening after work. Some days he checked it with expectation. Other days, with a tight feeling in his chest. Letters once brought news that changed his life. Opportunities, bills, messages he could not ignore. Over time, the weight of waiting grew heavy. One night, he passed the mailbox without stopping. The streetlight hummed softly above him. Nothing inside the box called his name. He realized how often he carried tomorrow into tonight. How waiting had followed him into bed. Sleep had been crowded out by anticipation. That evening, he left the mailbox alone. He let the corner remain just a corner. The walk home felt lighter than usual. Later, lying in bed, his thoughts slowed. No news needed receiving right now. The body understood this relief. You may carry mail like this inwardly. Messages you expect but cannot open yet. They can stay at the corner until morning. As the man once thought quietly, nothing arrives when I am asleep. And quiet, and rest answered with gentle certainty. Story 42. The clock on the stove. A small clock sat above the stove. Its ticking soft, almost polite. Time moved steadily there. A woman used to watch it while cooking. Meals timed perfectly. Nothing late. Control felt comforting. At night, she noticed the clock again. Even when nothing was cooking, time still moved. She realized she could not stir sleep awake. No timer made rest arrive faster. The clock kept ticking either way. One evening, she turned the clock face slightly away. Not hidden, just not watched. The kitchen felt calmer. That night, sleep came on its own, unmeasured, unforced. The body followed its own time. You do not need to watch the clock tonight. Sleep does not obey staring. It comes when attention softens. As she once smiled before bed, time knows what it is doing. And the night proved her right. Story 43. The fence with an open gate. A wooden fence bordered the yard. Weathered, steady, familiar. One gate stood slightly open. An elder liked it that way. Not locked, not wide, just enough space for air. He once kept everything tightly closed. Boundaries firm. Guard always up. It had been exhausting. Now, The open gate changed the feeling. Nothing rushed in. Nothing was kept out harshly. The yard felt softer, more alive. Birds passed through. Light moved freely. That night, he slept deeply. No walls pressed inward. No vigilance required. You may keep gates open like this. Not everything needs guarding tonight. Rest enters through gentle spaces. As the elder once whispered kindly, safety can also be soft. Zen and the night stepped through quietly. Story 44. The roadside diner at midnight. A diner glowed along the empty highway. Neon lights humming gently. Few cars passed by. A traveler stopped there late one night. His journey had been long. His thoughts even longer. Inside, the diner was calm and warm. Coffee steamed quietly. No one rushed him. He sat without checking the clock. The road could wait. The body needed pausing. After a while, his shoulders dropped. The noise in his head softened. Stillness arrived with warmth. You may be traveling like this tonight. Long roads behind you. No need to rush further. As the traveler once thought softly, stopping is part of arriving. And rest met him at the counter. Story 45. The notebook closed gently. A notebook lay open on the desk. Pages filled with plans and worries. Ink pressed firmly into paper. A woman stared at it before bed. Her mind still arranging tomorrow. Sleep felt distant. She closed the notebook slowly. Not finished. Just paused. The desk felt quieter immediately. Thoughts still came, but softer. They had somewhere to wait. The body relaxed. You may have notebooks like this inside. Lists that never end. They can rest tonight. As she once reminded herself gently, nothing must be solved now. And the night agreed without argument. Story 46. The porch swing. A porch swing moved lightly in the evening air. Its chain creaked softly. No one pushed it. An older couple once sat there often, talking less as years passed, still swinging together. Now, the swing moved alone, holding memory without sadness, movement without effort. A neighbor sat there one quiet night. Let the motion guide breathing. The body remembered ease. You may feel movement like this now. Gentle, repetitive, safe. Let it carry you. As the neighbor once sighed contentedly. Some motions calm the heart. It sparked too, and sleep followed the rhythm. Story 47. The drawer left slightly open. A drawer stayed slightly open in the bedroom. Not enough to bother. Just noticeable. A man considered closing it each night, then decided it could wait. Nothing spilled out. The room did not fall apart. The drawer remained quiet. Control loosened. That small choice eased something inside him. Perfection relaxed its grip. Sleep arrived easier. You do not need everything closed tonight. Some things can remain unfinished. Rest accepts imperfection. As he once thought kindly, nothing breaks if I let it be. It's not with Reet, and the night held steady. Story 48. The quiet crossing. A crosswalk blinked yellow in the late evening. No cars passed through. The street rested. A woman stood there alone, used to hurrying across life. Tonight, she waited. The signal changed. She crossed slowly, deliberately. The moment felt complete. Life has crossings like this. Pauses between demands. They ask for presence, not speed. You may stand at such a crossing now. No need to rush ahead. The body crosses into sleep naturally. As she once reflected softly, waiting can also move me forward. And rest met her on the other side. Story 49. The coat hung up. A coat was hung by the door, heavy with the day's weather. Now still. An elder removed it carefully, feeling the warmth leave his shoulders. The house felt welcoming. He did not wear the coat to bed. The night was safe. Protection could rest. You may remove coats like this tonight. Armor you no longer need. The bed asks for softness. As the elder once said quietly, rest needs no shield. More, and sleep arrived gently. Story 50. The last light in the window. One window remained lit in the house. The rest were dark and quiet. The night held steady. An old teacher sat nearby, breathing calmly. The day had ended fully. Nothing pulled at him. He turned off the light without ceremony. Darkness arrived like a friend. Sleep followed close behind. You may turn off your inner lights now. Nothing else is required. The night knows you well. As the teacher once whispered softly, trust the dark to hold you. It is said, and it does. Story 51. The path of fallen leaves. The path behind the house was covered with fallen leaves. They lay where they had landed, unbothered by direction. Some were dry and curled, others still soft with color. An older man walked there each evening after dinner. His workdays had once been loud and demanding. Even now, his thoughts tried to stay busy. As he walked, leaves crunched under his shoes. The sound reminded him he was present. Each step required no planning. He noticed how the leaves did not rush anywhere. They had finished their work on the tree. Now they rested on the ground. He used to think falling meant failure, something lost, something wasted. But the path told another story. The leaves protected the soil beneath. They kept the earth warm and moist. Nothing about them was useless. That night, lying in bed, he thought of himself, of roles that had ended, of efforts no longer required. His body softened into the mattress. Breath slowed, without instruction. Sleep came quietly. You may feel like a fallen leaf tonight, no longer attached, no longer striving. This is not the end. As the man once whispered to the path, rest is part of the cycle. Yes, and the night held that truth gently. Story 52. The cupboard after dinner. The kitchen was quiet after dinner. Plates washed. Counters wiped. Only the cupboard doors remained open. A woman stood there longer than needed. Her day had been full of choices. Now, no decisions were left. She closed each cupboard slowly, wood touching wood with soft clicks. The room settled with each sound. Her shoulders dropped without effort. The body recognized completion. Nothing else waited. Later, in bed, her mind felt quieter. The cupboards were closed. The day felt contained. You may have open cupboards inside. Loose ends. Lingering thoughts. They can be closed gently tonight. As she once thought with relief, enough has been done. Is a parity, and rest followed naturally. Story 53. The street after rain. Rain had passed through the neighborhood. The street reflected small points of light. Everything smelled clean and calm. A man stepped outside before bed, not to go anywhere, just to feel the air. Puddles rested without movement. Nothing tried to escape them. They reflected the sky quietly. He realized how much he resisted stillness, how often he tried to move on quickly. The street showed another way. When he returned inside, his breathing slowed. The night felt complete. Sleep came easily. You may feel washed like that street. Thoughts settled after a long day. Let stillness reflect you. As the man once said softly, after the rain, Nothing rushes. And the night agrees. Story 54. The clock with a soft tick. A small clock ticked softly on the shelf. Not loud enough to demand attention. Just steady and calm. An elder listened to it while lying down. Each tick felt like a breath. In, then out. He did not count the seconds. He let them pass. Time did not ask for management. Eventually, the ticking faded into the background. Awareness softened. Sleep arrived quietly. You may hear rhythms like this now. Breath, heartbeat, distant sounds. They guide you naturally. As the elder once murmured kindly, "Let time carry you." Isn't believe it, and it does. Story 55. The basket by the door. A woven basket sat by the door. It held keys, gloves, small things. Nothing important tonight. A woman emptied it each evening, placed items where they belonged. The basket rested empty. She noticed how light the space felt. Nothing waiting to be handled. The day felt finished. Later, her mind mirrored the basket. Clear, open, quiet. Sleep followed easily. You may empty your basket now. Set down what you carried. Nothing needs holding in the dark. As she once smiled to herself. Tomorrow can hold its own things. Itzmand and rest arrives. Story 56. The fence shadow. Moonlight cast shadows of the fence on the ground. Lines stretched long and soft. Nothing sharp remained. An older man watched from his window. Boundaries once felt rigid to him. Now they looked gentle. The fence still stood firm, but its shadow was flexible. He felt something similar inside. That night, he slept deeply. No edges pressed against him. Everything softened. You may feel shadows like this now. Firm things becoming gentle. Rest lives in that softness. As he once reflected quietly, strength can be kind. Woe, and the night listens. Story 57. The notebook on the shelf. A notebook rested on a high shelf. Pages filled long ago. No need to open it now. A man touched the cover before bed. Memories stayed inside. They did not spill out. He felt comfort knowing they were there, but not demanding attention. Sleep came without disturbance. You may store thoughts like this. They are safe where they are. You do not need them tonight. As he once thought with ease. Nothing is lost by resting. And the body agrees. Story 58. The low tide. The tide had pulled far from shore. Wet sand glistened quietly. Shells rested where waves had been. An elder walked there at dusk. He felt emptied, but calm. The sea did not look broken. He knew the water would return. For now, the shore breathed. The land needed space. That night, he slept easily, trusting the rhythm. No need to call the tide back. You may feel like low tide tonight. Space where fullness once lived. This is not loss. As the elder once whispered to the sea, rest prepares return. May, and the night hums softly. Story 59. The lamp turned low. A bedside lamp was turned low. Light softened into warmth. The room felt smaller. Safar, a woman, lay down slowly. Her mind still active, but less demanding. The dim light told her body it was time. Nothing more needed attention. Eyes closed gently. You may dim your inner lights now. Brightness can wait. The dark is kind. As she once breathed quietly, enough for today. Ivri and sleep followed. Story 60. The breath that settled. An elder lay listening to his breath. At first, it felt uneven. Thoughts still moved. He did nothing to change it, just stayed present. The breath found its own pace. Soon, each inhale felt fuller, each exhale longer. The body settled naturally. You are breathing like this now, without instruction, without effort. As the elder once whispered gently, the breath knows rest. Yes, and it carries you into sleep. Story 61. The quiet kitchen before dawn. The kitchen rested in the soft blue light before dawn. Counters were clear. Chairs pushed in. Nothing stirring. The house breathed slowly, like a sleeping animal. An elderly woman stood there with a warm cup in her hands. She had woken early for most of her life. Work, children, responsibility had trained her body well. Now the mornings came without obligation. Still, she woke before the sun. Her mind often followed old paths. She remembered rushing breakfasts, packed lunches, hurried goodbyes. Those seasons had ended, quietly and completely. Yet her body still arrived early, waiting for instruction. She did not try to go back to bed. Instead, she stood and listened to the quiet. The refrigerator hummed. The clock ticked softly. In this stillness, she noticed something new. The quiet was not empty. It felt full, steady, kind. She sat at the table and wrapped her hands around the cup. Warmth traveled slowly into her fingers. Her breath matched the calm of the room. She realized she did not need a purpose for this hour. The morning did not ask anything from her. Being awake was enough. As the sky lightened, she felt no rush. The day would arrive when ready. For now, she rested inside the pause. You may be awake like this tonight, early or late, with nothing required. Let the quiet keep you company. As the woman once thought gently, some moments exist only to be lived. Is direction, and the night understands. Deeply. Story 62. The coat rack in winter. A wooden coat rack stood near the door. It held heavy coats through the cold months. Wool, cotton, old familiar shapes. A man hung his coat there each night. The weight left his shoulders slowly. The house welcomed him without words. He had spent years bracing against weather. Long commutes, long worries, long days. The coat had felt like protection. One evening, spring air drifted in unexpectedly. The coat felt too heavy for the moment. He paused before hanging it up. He placed it on the rack anyway, letting warmth return to his body naturally. The house felt different that night. He noticed how often he carried protection too far, guarding against things already past, holding tension long after danger ended. That night, he slept without the familiar tightness. His shoulders sank into the mattress. Breath moved freely again. You may wear coats like this inwardly. Old defenses, old readiness. They can rest now. As the man once murmured softly, the house is warm enough, and sleep arrives when armor is set down. Story 63. The long shelf of books. A long shelf of books lined the wall. Some read many times, others untouched. All quiet now in the dim light. An older teacher ran his fingers along the spines. Years of learning rested there. So did many unanswered questions. He used to feel pressure to keep reading, to keep knowing more, to stay useful. Tonight, he did not take a book down. He simply stood and breathed. The shelf did not mind. He realized the words were not going anywhere. Wisdom did not demand attention at night. Understanding could wait. He turned away and lay down peacefully. The mind loosened its grip. Sleep came gently. You may hold shelves like this inside. Knowledge, plans, expectations, they are safe where they are. As the teacher once smiled quietly, not everything must be understood today. And the night agrees. Completely. Story 64. The empty bus stop. A bus stop stood under a streetlight. No schedule posted. No one waiting. The bench felt cool and still. A woman stood there after a long evening walk. She was not catching a bus. She simply paused. She had spent years rushing between places, always arriving, always leaving. Stillness felt unfamiliar. She sat and listened to the quiet street. A distant car passed. Then nothing. The night held steady. For the first time, she noticed she was not late. There was nowhere she needed to go. The relief surprised her. When she returned home, her body felt lighter. Sleep came without effort. The pause had done its work. You may feel like you are waiting too, but nothing is coming right now, and that is okay. As she once thought softly, waiting can be rest. 8. And the night nods in agreement. Story 65. The drawer of old photos. A drawer held old photographs in small stacks. Faces, younger. Smiles wider. Moments, frozen. The drawer stayed closed most nights. An elder opened it slowly before bed. He did not look at every picture, just enough to remember. There was joy there, and loss. Both lived together peacefully now. Nothing pulled at him sharply. He closed the drawer gently. The memories stayed inside. They did not follow him. That night, sleep came softly. The past had been acknowledged. Nothing more was required. You may hold memories like these. They can stay where they belong. Rest does not erase them. As the elder once whispered kindly, remembering does not mean returning. And the night holds that truth tenderly. Story 66. The porch after the party. The porch was quiet after everyone left. Empty cups stacked. Chairs slightly askew. Laughter still lingered faintly. A host stood alone, breathing deeply. The noise had been warm, but tiring. Now the silence felt kind. He straightened one chair, then stopped. Perfection could wait until morning. The porch did not mind. Inside, the house felt calm again. Sleep arrived without replaying the evening. Enough had already happened. You may feel like this after long days. Full, but ready for quiet. Let the porch rest as it is. As the host once thought gently, joy does not need cleanup tonight. And rest follows naturally. Story 67. The road sign passed. A road sign stood behind the car now. Barely remembered. Already passed. The road ahead stretched quietly. A driver realized how often he looked back, checking what he had missed, questioning turns already taken. Tonight, he kept his eyes forward, not far ahead. Just enough. The car moved smoothly. Later, in bed, his thoughts followed that rhythm. No replay. No correction. Sleep came easily. You do not need to revisit every sign. Some directions only matter once. The body understands this. As he once said softly, the road continues without looking back. I know, and the night carries you onward. Story 68. The sink full of water. The sink filled slowly with warm water. Steam rose gently into the air. Hands moved without hurry. An older woman washed one cup, then another. The simple task grounded her. Thoughts faded with the steam. She did not rush to finish. There was no reward for speed. only warmth and motion. Later, lying down, her body remembered that ease. Sleep followed like warm water draining away. You may find calm in small motions too. Nothing complex, nothing urgent. The body responds kindly. As she once smiled quietly, simple care soothes the mind. Zen, and the night listens. Story 69. The field under stars. A wide field lay under a clear sky. Stars scattered without pattern or effort. The earth felt solid beneath it all. An elder stood there after a long life of striving. No plans, no goals, no audience, just breath and sky. He felt small, but not afraid. The vastness comforted him. Nothing depended on him now. That night, sleep came like falling into grass. Soft, supported, safe. You may rest under this sky too. Nothing is required of you. The stars are enough. As the elder once murmured peacefully, life continues without my holding. Every change, and the night confirms it gently. Story 70. The final exhale. An elder lay in the dark, listening inwardly. Breath came and went on its own. No effort remained. He felt the body settle layer by layer, muscles releasing, thoughts thinning. Nothing needed guidance. Each exhale felt like setting something down. A worry, a memory, a role. The breath carried it away. He did not try to sleep. He simply rested in breathing. Sleep arrived quietly on its own. You are breathing like this now. Nothing more is needed. The body knows the way. As the elder once whispered to a student, when you stop trying, rest appears. If we want, and the night gently proves it true. Story 71. The lamp that stayed on. The small lamp by the window had been left on overnight. Its light was soft, amber, barely touching the walls. It did not chase the darkness away, only shared space with it. An elderly man noticed it as he lay awake. Years ago, he would have risen to turn it off. Electricity wasted, habits obeyed, rules followed. Tonight, he did not move. The body felt heavy in a gentle way. The light did not bother him. He remembered nights long ago when sleep would not come, how he paced rooms, counted hours, argued with rest. The lamp had been a companion then. It had witnessed worry, grief, quiet resolve. It had shone without comment or instruction, always steady, never impatient. As he breathed, the room felt kind. Shadows rested where they were. Nothing demanded change. He realized how often he had tried to turn things off. Thoughts, feelings, memories, as if darkness were a mistake. The lamp taught him something wordless. Light does not fight the night. It simply remains present. His breathing slowed. The glow blurred at the edges. Sleep moved closer without effort. You may have a lamp like this inside. A gentle awareness that stays on. It does not need control. As the man once thought softly, let the light rest where it is. 80, and the night welcomed him fully. Story 72. The stone at the bottom of the stream. A clear stream moved quietly through the forest. Water slid over stones polished by time. Nothing hurried. Nothing resisted. At the bottom lay one stone, round and smooth. It had been sharp once, edges worn away without complaint. An old monk sat nearby, listening to the water. He had come often to this place, not to think, only to hear. He noticed how the stone did not chase the current. It did not cling to shape. It simply allowed change. Years earlier, he had fought against movement, against aging, loss, uncertainty. It had only exhausted him. The stream had never argued. It continued, touching the stone patiently. Time did the rest. As evening approached, the monk felt his body soften. Breath matched the water's rhythm. Thoughts rounded, less sharp. He understood that smoothing was not destruction. It was becoming easier to hold, kinder to the touch. When he lay down later, sleep came quietly. No struggle, no resistance, just gentle surrender. You may feel worn by time. That wearing is not harm. It is shaping you for peace. As the monk once whispered to a student, "Let the water finish its work." I have, and the night flows around you gently. Story 73. The window without a view. The window faced another wall. No mountains, no trees, no sky, just quiet brick and shadow. A woman had lived there for years. At first, she hated the window. It showed her nothing. She used to imagine better views, other homes, other lives, always elsewhere. Over time, she stopped expecting anything from it. The window became neutral, just glass and light. One night, moonlight reflected softly off the wall. A pale glow entered the room, subtle, almost unnoticed. She lay in bed watching it breathe across the floor. The window had offered something after all. Not scenery, but calm. She felt a deep release. Not everything needed to inspire. Some things only needed to exist. Sleep found her easily that night. No longing followed her, only acceptance. You may have places like this in your life. Ordinary, unremarkable, quiet. They hold rest if you let them. As she once murmured gently, "This is enough for now." And the night agreed in silence. The stories have done their walking for tonight. They do not need to go anywhere else. Let the images rest where they are, like shoes placed gently by the door. Your body already knows this moment. The slowing, the softening. Nothing more is being asked of you now. No understanding to reach. No lesson to carry. If a thought drifts through, let it pass, like a cloud that forgot its shape. It does not need attention. Your breathing can be simple, in and out. Each breath arrives on its own. Each breath leaves when it is ready. You may notice warmth somewhere, in the chest, in the hands. That warmth has always been there. You did not create it. You only noticed it. Tonight is not for fixing anything, not for deciding, not for remembering correctly. It is enough to be here, listening, resting. Others are resting too. Somewhere far away, different rooms, similar silence. No one needs to meet. No one needs to speak. The night holds everyone equally, without preference, without demand. If sleep comes quickly, let it. If it comes slowly, let it. Both are forms of kindness. You can place the weight down now. The weight of effort, the weight of becoming. Nothing is unfinished in this moment. As an old teacher once said quietly, rest is also a path. It's not, so rest. Let the mind loosen its grip. Let the body sink. The night knows how to carry you,